CTV Edmonton, local breaking news with Nariman Isa.
Good evening. For the second time in less than a month, the Alberta government is invoking the notwithstanding clause. Now, this time, if passed, it will prevent anyone from challenging the province in court over 3 transgender bills it passed in the summer of 2024. Now, Bill 9 reinforces legislation the UCP government passed last year around healthcare, education, and sports for transgender Albertans. Now, those bills put restrictions on students changing pronouns at school, transgender athletes competing in female leagues, and medical therapies for transgender kids. Premier Danielle Smith and Justice Minister Mickey Amory say their government is obligated to use the notwithstanding clause now to protect Alberta children. There are 3 active court challenges to last summer's bills, including an injunction on the healthcare bill, which means puberty blockers and hormone treatments can still be used, though Premier Smith believes Bill 9 will have that injunction and the other lawsuits thrown out.
These lawsuits could take years to resolve, including possible appeals to the Supreme Court. These delays are not acceptable to this government when children are in harm's way.
We've said previously that we're prepared to use every single legal and constitutional tool available to protect the well-being of young people. And that's why we'll be invoking the notwithstanding clause.
Yesterday, in anticipation of Bill 9, a group of transgender Albertans and their allies held a rally on the steps of the legislature. They oppose this move by the government and say puberty blockers and other treatments are safe, reversible, and used after extensive consultation between a doctor, parent, and child. The opposition NDP agrees. Raki Pancholi says the government is trying to normalize overreach.
When you hear a government bringing in legislation like this, which says to parents, sorry, parent, I don't care what you think your child needs. I know better as the Premier. I know better as the UCP government. That is government intruding on every level of our lives.
Now, the clause in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms has a 5-year time limit built in, meaning court challenges under the Charter could resume in 2030 or beyond. The province is not denying details of a leaked memo saying Alberta doctors could be allowed to provide both public and private care to patients in a parallel system. Now, the memo was obtained and reported on by the Globe and Mail. This was brought up during question period today. Now, according to the Globe and Mail, the leaked memo discussed legislative amendments that would allow doctors to practice in both public and private sectors. Now, the Premier and the Health Ministers deny the possibility of a 2-tiered system. Instead, they say a hybrid model would strengthen options for Albertans.
We've had great success in Alberta augmenting the majority of our surgeries, which are provided in hospital, 80%, with 20% provided in our chartered surgical facilities. Mr. Speaker, none of this occurs without a willing Alberta healthcare professional and a willing Albertan.
So given that the leaked cabinet documents demonstrate that UCP is moving full speed ahead on American-style pay-as-you-go healthcare, which minister over there is comfortable if one of their loved ones has cancer, having to pull out a credit card to pay for access?
The province has an increase in doctors, nurses, and other health professionals moving to Alberta will allow for this to work. They promise access to public services that won't drop. Now, one health professor disagrees, saying this could push more doctors into private health care.
The only people that will benefit are those who are fortunate enough to have the money to pay. The problem is that there's a significant gradient between health and wealth. So people who are less healthy don't have the money, but they have higher health needs.
Now, the president of the Alberta Medical Association echoes that, says we could see a siphoning of doctors to the private sector, which will put a strain on the healthcare system and medical professionals.
We want to make sure that, we're providing the best care possible. But when you're working in an under-resourced system and starting to get burnt out, human nature would be such that you might want to look at other options. And again, for some patients and some physicians, that will work really well. The concern is for the majority, what is left.
Dr. Brian Wurzbus says the province needs to heavily consult with both physicians and patients before going ahead with a parallel system like this. Now, there is no word on when legislation will be tabled. The battle over the Progressive Conservative Party name is headed to court. The United Conservative Party is suing former UCP MLAs Peter Guthrie and Scott Sinclair. The lawsuit seeks to block the changing of the Alberta Party name to the Alberta Progressive Conservative Party. Now, the UCP claims it has owned and used the name since acquiring it after the merger between the PCs and the Wild Rose Party. Now, Guthrie calls the trademark claim weak and says the lawsuit is about intimidation. A 21-year-old man is dead after a crash just south of Nescue. Now, it happened this morning around 6:30 on Airport Road east of 9th Street. RCMP say a car made a left turn across the path of a pickup truck and was hit. A man from Redwater was pronounced dead on scene. The driver of the truck was taken to hospital with minor injuries. 2 women are facing charges after hundreds of animals were found in distress at a pair of northern Alberta rescues. Now, in late October, RCMP executed search warrants at 2 animal rescues in Marie Rain and the MDF Smoky River. Mounties say they found more than 300 animals in varying states of distress. RCMP say many of them needed veterinary care and lacked humane living conditions. 69-year-old Cheryl Woods and 67-year-old Cheryl Bastine are now facing criminal and Animal Protection Act charges. They're accused of causing unnecessary suffering, willful neglect of animals, and permitting animals to be in distress. A cab driver in Edmonton is being recognized for locating a missing person. Now, the company's president says while its drivers help people all the time, this is a first. CTV's Amanda Anderson has the story.
Every morning for almost 20 years, Tejbir Badishaw has the same routine. The driver with yellow cab gets in his car, then makes his way to the airport, where he parks and waits until someone needs a ride.
I was sitting in my cab and looking at the social media on Facebook and seeing the Edmonton police loading a picture of the old lady. She was missing from the hospital.
Police say it was a 47-year-old woman who suffered from a medical condition and wasn't dressed for the weather. The alert was issued because of concern for her well-being. Badishaw forgot about the post until later that day when he was back working in South Edmonton.
It was one of my last call, yeah.
He was dispatched to pick up a woman from this Value Village.
And then I recognized it's the same lady.
He recognized her as the missing woman. He says she asked to go to her son's house.
She's really nice. She said, hi, how are you? And then they say, do you like driving in Edmonton? She said, yes, ma'am.
When they arrived, he says she went inside to get money for the fare.
I think his son and his husband come out and say, sir, you want to pay me? He said, no, we are broke.
He says they did ask questions about where he'd found her.
And then I called my dispatcher. First, I think the lady was missing from hospital. That's the same lady. And dispatcher called police, and 5 or 7 minutes the police arrived.
The president of Yellow Cab says he's proud of Badishaw.
And our drivers are good citizens. They want to help when they can. And, you know, we have cameras. Drivers know the city very well. They can recognize if something's wrong. But a missing person, I think this is a first.
Badishaw never did get the $40 fare, but was rewarded with a gift card from his company and knowing he helped get the woman home safe.
I'm feeling really great to helping someone like that. This is a part of our customer service and community service.
Amanda Anderson, CTV News, Edmonton.
Edmonton's mayor is planning to put forward a motion to change how traffic bylaws are enforced in parts of the city. His promise comes after years of complaints from people living in a West Edmonton neighborhood and multiple deaths. CTV's Evan Kenny reports.
It's ridiculous that nothing's been done when a problem was identified 5 years ago.
People living in Edgemont say they are fed up with the city's lack of action on a dangerous road. Neighbors say they've been calling 311 police and city councilors about traffic safety for years with no response.
As a taxpayer, I see a lot of people nodding. That makes me want to throw up.
Nearly 100 people brought up their concerns in person to members of council, EPS, and the Vision Zero traffic safety team Monday during a public town hall.
They want to see action. Right? They want to see something change. They want to know that their concerns are actually going to be taken care of.
30 people have died in crashes on city streets so far this year. One of them was seen by the Edgemont Community League's president when a 65-year-old woman was hit and killed while crossing the street with her grandson.
It's anger and it's frustration, right? Because no one's in that big of a rush to have to do that and to put other people's lives in danger.
The death happened here at Edgemont Way and Edgemont Boulevard. The city's Vision Zero team says this intersection is being turned into a three-way stop and that speed tables are being added to Edgemont Boulevard. Still, people here want to see more done.
I think that enforcement is the key to kind of tame the people that have the bad habits, basically.
Within a few weeks, I plan to make that motion to create that team so they can start getting to work on enforcing the rules.
The mayor wants to make a city bylaw traffic enforcement team instead of relying on police.
Speeding vehicles, vehicles that are driving unsafely, vehicles that are running red lights, you name it, we can hold those vehicles and those drivers accountable by actually enforcing the rules.
NAC is taking inspiration from Calgary, where this program has been in place since the end of March. That city says the presence of peace officers focused specifically on traffic allows for more targeted and sustained efforts in areas that are often overlooked. Evan Kenny, CTV News, Edmonton.
City Council has agreed to consider partnerships with the private sector to help build public projects. In a new report, city staff suggests there are 4 projects that might benefit from a public-private partnership, also known as a P3 model. They're listed as priorities, but the city doesn't have the money to pay for them right now. The projects include new arenas, a transit center in Windermere, a new fire station in the north, and replacing the Woodcroft Library. Mayor Andrew Knack says council may need to get creative to stretch city dollars in coming years.
I'm not looking for the private sector to run our libraries, but if we're looking at renewing a library and you can put residential above it, but that allows us to offset some of the cost of renewing that space, maybe that is a really good opportunity for us.
With the motion passing this afternoon, the city will now put out feelers for potential partnerships through a request for expressions of interest. The NDP is pitching a plan it says will develop affordable, reliable power, increase energy sector investment confidence, and lower Albertans' power bills. The Shadow Minister for Energy and Minerals brought Bill 203 forward today. It calls for more stability in the province's power grid and allowing more energy storage infrastructure and research. NDP leader Naheed Nenshi was asked by media whether the legislation would be added to the NDP's next election platform, as several NDP bills have not made it past Alberta's UCP majority.
UCP's moratorium, their renewables moratorium, scared away all these billions of dollars in investment, including investment in energy storage. We're bringing this stuff up and actually in good faith. We're giving the UCP government ways to get out of some of the things they have caused for themselves.
Now, Nenshi mentioned the NDP's minimum wage bill as an example. Minimum wage in Alberta is currently $15 an hour. The proposed legislation would have increased it by $1 each year until it hit $18 an hour in 2027. Now, the bill was voted down on Monday. Bill 203 passed first reading today. A memorial service was held at the Alberta Legislature today to commemorate the millions of Ukrainians who died during the Holodomor. Guests gathered in the rotunda to reflect on the Ukrainian famine and genocide which happened between 1932 and 1933. Members of Alberta's Ukrainian community spoke about that, as well as the ongoing war against Russia.
Here at the Alberta Legislature, we honor the victims by standing for freedom, democracy, and the rule of law, values that protect societies and prevent such tragedies from happening again.
The province has designated the fourth Saturday in November as Holodomor Memorial Day. A European destination that disappeared during the pandemic is returning for travelers flying out of Edmonton. Now, starting next summer, WestJet says it will offer a weekly non-stop flight between Edmonton and Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland. Airport officials say they've been advocating for more international flights, and airlines are seeing higher demand.
It's important for our community to know that when they fly nonstop from Edmonton, we bring that data and share it with the airlines to say where they are looking at adding new capacity. And so this is a good example.
The airport says numbers have now caught up to pre-pandemic levels. It says Canadians are looking for alternative destinations to the U.S. for leisurely travel. Now, still to come, Edmonton and Red Deer will be joint hosts for one of the biggest hockey tournaments in the world. Plus, a look back at two small-town doctors embroiled in a feud that led to dire consequences in our latest Crime Tapes installment.
Good evening, folks. Cloudy and temperatures up to 2 degrees in Edmonton for a daytime high today. It was a lot cooler across northern Alberta. Areas to the southeast of Edmonton picked up a little more snow. Some spots northeast of the city as well. A couple centimeters of snow in the city. That snow's done, and it looks like we'll see some sunshine tomorrow. Full look at your forecast in just a few minutes.
Programming brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
Wednesday on Your Morning, how to teach financial literacy to kids of all ages, plus a recipe that will get your kids in the kitchen and the airport's advice to efficiently navigate the busy holiday travel season.
Your Morning Edmonton, weekdays.
In 1999, two small-town doctors were embroiled in a feud that turned into a multi-million-dollar lawsuit and eventually a murder. Here now with the third story in the Crime Tapes is our David Awasik.
This is the case of feuding physicians in the small town of Fairview. On May 5th, 1999, the two rival doctors, Douglas Snyder and Abraham Cooper, met to hash out an impending lawsuit. After that meeting, one man was missing. The other stood accused of killing him. Here's what it looked like when the case reached the courthouse on the Crime Tapes.
We're relieved that the trial is finally starting. It has been a difficult 16 months.
Jurors heard that Dr. Doug Snyder's family never saw him alive again after that night in May of 1999 when he went to meet Dr. Abraham Cooper at Cooper's Fairview Medical Clinic. The two were said to be trying to resolve Cooper's multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Snyder and two other local physicians, with claims that group was trying to sabotage Cooper's medical livelihood. Instead, all investigators found there was blood, and a lot of it. The defense put up an argument that far from the clinic being the scene of a killing, their theory was that Dr. Snyder was still alive, somewhere, living a secret double life, telling jurors, "I think this is going to continue to be a mystery. At the end of it, you will not know." None of it sat well with the Snyder family because even though the evidence appeared overwhelming, the one thing they wanted more than anything was missing.
For the Snyder family, this does not mean closure. We don't have a body. The family would love to have a burial.
Coming up in part 2, no body, but enough evidence to prove something bloody and sinister took place in that office up in Fairview, Alberta, and perhaps further on down the road as well. Coming up in part 2 of our story on the Crime Tapes.
Boston Pizza is hosting 5 days of pizza for Ben in honor of Oilers superfan Ben Stelter. In 2022, the young fan who captured the hearts of the hockey world died of brain cancer. So starting today through Saturday, a portion of all pizza sales from 52 locations across northern Alberta will be donated to the charity founded in his name. Boston Pizza hopes to raise $80,000.
You know, as huge Oiler fans and proud Albertans, we've all watched Ben's story unfold, and being able to meet with Mike and Leah, his parents, and seeing what the foundation has done, we're so proud and we're so excited to partner with the Ben Stelter Foundation this week.
The Ben Stelter Foundation is currently working to bring proton therapy to Edmonton. Proton therapy is more targeted than X-ray radiation, minimizing damage to healthy tissues and reducing the side effects experienced by patients. The World Junior Hockey Championship is returning to Edmonton and Red Deer next year. Now, a few other Alberta communities are also expected to get in on the action. So Rogers Place will be the main venue and will host 17 games, including the semifinals and the medal games between December 26th of 2026 and January 5th, 2027. Marchand Crane Centrium in Red Deer will host 14 games. All 10 national teams are also required to play at least 2 pre-tournament games, and that will happen between December 16th and the 23rd. Those games will be held in smaller Alberta cities and towns.
We'll be looking at communities like Camrose and Red Deer and Whitecourt and other communities around the province who are prepared to host both team camps as well as games ahead of the event.
Edmonton last hosted the World Juniors in August of 2022 when the tournament was rescheduled because of the pandemic. There's no word yet on when tickets will be available. Well, Albertans have decided Moraine Lake should be featured on new license plates that will hit the road next year. The province says more than 240,000 votes were cast over 3 rounds of voting. In addition to the iconic Banff backdrop, the new plates will also come with a new motto, strong and free. There is a nod to Wild Rose Country with an image of the flower. Now, you can get a new plate for free on your vehicle registration renewal date in 2026. You can also keep your current plate if it is in good condition.
Programming brought to you by Boston Pizza's 5 Days of Pizza for Ben, supporting the Ben Stelter Foundation.
Welcome back. A couple degrees above average for the high and the low. 2 and -6, your high and low today. We'll be in that -6 range again tomorrow morning, and a degree or 2 warmer tomorrow afternoon. Lots sunnier tomorrow. Snow's making its way out of eastern Alberta, and skies are going to clear right across the province for tomorrow. Sunny with a few clouds for most areas, and temperatures, as we said, a little bit warmer tomorrow. Thursday, we should be about 2, maybe 3 again for a daytime high. Get some flurries here in northwestern Alberta early in the day Thursday, but for Edmonton, just a mix of sun and cloud on Thursday. Next chance of snow looks like it comes in early next week, out ahead of a big cool down for next week. -7 at Fort McMurray tomorrow morning, about -10 in Grand Prairie. Here in Edmonton, we'll wake up to temperatures around -6. You're right around the freezing mark across most of the north. -1 for Fort McMurray. Clouds in the morning, sunshine in the afternoon. Sunny and -1 for Grand Prairie. A little cooler there in high level at -4. You're about 3 degrees above 0 in Red Deer. Again, some clouds lingering in the morning hours. Maybe even some patchy fog, and then some clearing in the afternoon. A degree or 2 above 0 with some sunshine in Lloydminster and Jasper. 3, maybe 4 degrees for a daytime high. 2 or 3, and a mix of sun and cloud Thursday, and then a handful of degrees above 0 Friday, Saturday. Now, Sunday's probably the last warm day that we see for a while. Be about 3 degrees on Sunday. Below 0 for daytime highs starting Monday. And you get a chance of flurries Monday. Better chance of some steadier snow on Tuesday. And look at those daytime highs in the -5 to -10 range. And morning lows in the -teens. So 5 more mild days before some wintry weather settles in. That is your forecast.
Well, the architects of ice castles built at Horlock Park in the past are at it again, and they will be looking at the forecast. This time, they are taking over Ice District. Now, CTV's Merrick Takash reports the local artist who created the famous Bob and Doug McKenzie statue is also part of the team.
Preparations for the return of a popular winter attraction are underway.
We expect to be really busy, especially being in downtown in such a central location. We think it's going to be a very busy castle this year.
Ice Castles is a Utah-based company that builds castles in Canada and the States. This year, Edmonton was selected as one of 5 locations.
Edmonton's been a great city to us over the years, and we're just excited to be here.
Richie Veldhuis is part of a team responsible for executing the design of the castle. He's been sculpting in and around Edmonton for 30 years, including helping with the creation of the Bob and Doug Mackenzie statue at Ice District. He says the castle is one of his most unique creations.
There's basically a blueprint of the castle that we start with, and then it organically changes as the ice grows.
This year, the castle will have a fairy tale theme.
When I'm working in clay, I'm working alone. This is really a team effort. There's about 25 of us that build the castle, so we're placing ice and making a large sculpture.
If it gets cold enough and soon, the towers on the castle could reach up to 50 feet tall.
We know where every slide is going to go. We know where every tunnel will go. And then as the ice kind of organically does things, we change and we adapt to that.
Organizers expect to have the castle open to the public sometime before Christmas. Merrick Takash, CTV News, Edmonton.
That's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good rest of your evening. Good night.